announcement on behalf of the province. Lisa MacLeod, our Minister of Tourism, Sport, Culture and Heritage, is here to make an announcement to the media and to the crowd around us. I can tell you she is the most progressive, best minister that we've had in my 30 years in this industry. She is on the ground. She's here. She's almost a resident of Niagara Falls, and we're always happy to have her here. And she's boots on the ground throughout the province. All through the pandemic, she was our biggest supporter. And I know I'm not supposed to be talking too much, but I just had to get that out because she really is. She's a real champion for tourism and our sector here in Niagara Falls. And without any further ado, I'd like to introduce our Minister, Lisa MacLeod.
I want to say thank you to Joel Noden. Joel, of course, is the chairperson of Niagara Falls Tourism. He does a lot of work right here on Clifton Hill. And of course, we are today in Niagara Falls, which is Canada's #1 tourism destination. And when this city hurts from tourism, the entire country hurts as a result. I wanted to recognize a few other colleagues, people I've been able to work with over the past 2 years as our industries were extremely hurt by COVID-19. The first person I'd like to introduce after Joel, of course, is Mayor Jim Diodati. And he'll have a few remarks, but I wanted to say when I met with the mayor in the early days of COVID-19, he told me 90,000 people live in Niagara Falls and 40,000 people call hospitality their mainstay for income. Can you imagine the devastation in this community as a result of COVID-19? He also told me at that time, and I have lived that each and every day. He told me, Minister, this is not the time to panic. This is the time to plan. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I want to say thanks, Mayor Diodati, for your friendship, guidance, and mentorship throughout this pandemic. Now, we're also joined by a regional councillor, Bob Gale, who has a very strong voice in the regional municipality here and has been working with me from day one. Vince Cario is here. Not only is he a prominent member of council here and a member of our Niagara Parks Commission, but he relies on tourism for his income as a hotelier, and it's important that he's here today. And I also want to recognize my friend throughout this pandemic is a man named Chris Bloor. And Chris is joining us here today from Toronto. He's here to be the voice of the industry, someone I've worked extremely hard with and well with since he became the voice of the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the tourism industry and all of the heritage, sport, tourism, and culture industry sectors in this province. Prior to the pandemic, they represented what I call a spectacular double bottom line. Just take a second in the audience here, look around. This is about the cultural fabric and the societal fabric of the province of Ontario. That's the first bottom line. The second bottom line is an impressive $75 billion of economic activity that goes from everything from the person operating the Skywheel to the waitress at Boston Pizza to the family restaurant across the way to the thrift lodge. $75 billion in economic activity is nothing to sniff at. It's larger than the GDP of Manitoba and is larger than agriculture, mining, and forestry in the province of Ontario. The people who work on Clifton Hills, the people who work in Niagara Falls, the people who work in heritage, sport, tourism, and culture industries are an impressive part of Ontario's economy. And I will tell you this, there will not be a full economic recovery in the province of Ontario until these sectors are back up and running, which is why I'm here today. Thank you. These sectors were hit first, they were hit hardest, and they will take the longest to recover. And it's important to note, just because we are reopened does not necessarily mean a quick economic recovery. And that's why I have worked alongside my colleagues under Premier Ford to make unprecedented and historic investments into these sectors, well over $1 billion. We have a $100 million Ontario Tourism Recovery Program. The Reconnect Festival and Event Program, which Niagara did quite well, was $50 million this past year. We've invested into our gateway cities like Toronto and Ottawa in a way we've never done before, investing over $24.3 million. We committed over $100 million to small business grants for tourism entities, and over $614 million through the Ministry of Labor for targeted employment and training programs. In Niagara, we've also invested tens of millions of dollars into the Niagara Parks Commission, which is an agency of this ministry. And that's really important, because the things that make us love where we live, and just the same, the things that people want to come to Ontario for, come to Niagara for, are worth protecting. And that's why I'm here today. Again, there is no recovery until there is recovery in our sectors. And in order for us to rebuild that strong economy and make those memories that are lasting for people from around the world, like the families who are here today, it's important that we continue to support these sectors. And that's why I'm here today at the iconic Niagara Falls on Clifton Hill. With March break coming up, I want all Ontarians to know our government is committed to ensuring that you can reconnect and rediscover the province of Ontario right here in your own backyard, and provide a $270 million support to about 1.85 million families who can access our Staycation tax credit. Let me tell you a little bit about this tax credit. For an individual, you'll be eligible for a maximum credit of up to $200, and for a family of 4 of up to $400. That's incredible, and it's going to encourage and incentivize people to travel across the province if they're from Ontario. Eligible expenses are accommodations, whether that's hotels or motels, cottages, lodges, campgrounds, bed and breakfast establishments, and other short-term accommodations. And how you'll do it? Well, you'll apply while filing for your personal 2022 income tax and benefit return, and receive the credit even if you don't owe your income taxes. This is quite significant. It is the province of Ontario right now telling you, after 2 years, we were told to social distance, self-isolate, and stay at home, that they have and we have the confidence in our sectors to get back to business, to get back to making memories, and get back to welcoming people from around this province and around the world in iconic destinations such as Niagara Falls. It is our level of commitment to say it is now time to safely travel in the province of Ontario. It's time to stay in our hotels, which in some cases were down to 3% occupancy during this pandemic. It's our way to tell hospitality and tourism workers that we'll be there, we'll be patrons, we will support your businesses. It's our way to show pride, not only in this province, but also the people who live and work here, and the products that they sell. Tourism, culture, sport, and heritage are what defines us as Ontarians and as Canadians. And we have decided to put our confidence into these sectors with this tax credit. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to listen today, and thank you for taking the time to support all of these sectors that make an ecosystem that is so far impressive that we forgot all about it until the pandemic hit. I want to welcome to the podium right now one of the strongest leaders in tourism in this province. He's managed this pandemic very well, extremely well, working, of course, with his counterparts across the province, working with myself and our ministry, working with the federal government in order to get the border open. Someone who has never once wavered in his commitment for the people that he represents at Niagara City Hall. That is my friend, my colleague, and my mentor, Jim, why don't you come on up? I was going to call him Diodati or Mac Diodati, because we're going to have another announcement in April with us that has a little bit of a Scottish flavor to it. So I won't spoil that. But please give a warm welcome to Jim Diodati, who has really managed this crisis extremely well. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you very much, Minister. And I just want to say, first off, how about a great round of appreciation for the Minister's announcement. Thank you. You know, we like to call around here LMAC for Lisa MacLeod, and I thought she was going to say Jim Diodati because St. Paddy's Day is around the corner. I thought that was where she was going with it, but yeah, we've got some interesting Scottish things going on very soon. I just want to say this woman is an absolutely incredible tourism minister and minister, period. She doesn't just talk the talk, she walks the talk. Matter of fact, New Year's Eve, she's the first minister since I've been on council that was actually here for our last big New Year's Eve event with Brian Adams. She was here with us, helping bring in the new year. And here she is again, helping us bring in this new year, which ironically, we just celebrated last weekend. Our New Year's Eve event was just last weekend with Blue Rodeo and Company. And a saying around here that we like to say is, brush the teeth you want to keep. And I know Minister MacLeod loves that quote, and we always say if tourism's important, then we need to take care of it. And to 40,000 people here in Niagara, it's how they feed their families. And people ask, is tourism important? I say it's right up there with oxygen. It's extremely important. And we need to act now, because strike one, strike two, those are the 2 seasons we've lost. Well, this is strike 3. So the question is, what are we going to do? Well, here we are, the government stepping up to help us to send out the message that it's safe to travel again. It's safe to visit. Our hospitality industry created safetoplay.ca and safetostay.ca, and they went above and beyond provincial protocols to let everybody know when you come here, you're going to have a good time, you're going to do it in a safe way. And we are the #1 leisure destination in Canada. As the minister said, upwards of 14 million people come here. And we know it's going to be a while before the international travelers come here once again. But in the meantime, we need domestic tourism. We need the staycation. We need people here in the province of Ontario. And this will be the exact kind of incentive, Minister, and I know you know this, that's going to incentivize people to come here to Niagara Falls to have a good time. And here an announcement just as we come into spring break for most kids. So on behalf of the city, I want to say thank you to Minister MacLeod. She's here all the time, regularly, integrated, playing with us, and she understands the market. She's here experiencing it and watching the faces firsthand. I want to thank you to all the tourism industry. It's been a very, very difficult time. I will say resilience is part of our DNA. It seems we have challenges on a regular basis, from 9/11 to SARS, H1N1, mad cow, COVID, currency fluctuations. It seems we've always got a challenge to deal with, and part of our understanding is that we always have to come to our feet. We have no choice. 40,000 people count on it. So I'd like to say officially Niagara Falls is open once again, and I'm proud to say that we've got an outstanding tourism minister who knows better than anybody else in Queen's Park how important it is. So thank you very much. Yes, certainly. I will accept your applause. Thank you. Yeah. So now I'd like to now introduce Regional Councillor Bob Gale, who's going to come and say a few words as well. Thank you.
Yeah, look for me. It's hard to follow these two powerhouses, and I want to thank Minister MacLeod and Mayor Jim. It's never Mayor Diodati, it's Mayor Jim for their advocacy for Niagara Falls and for tourism. And I'm going to be very short. Anything that causes the taxpayers to have a tax break helps them. Anything that causes them to have a tax break on tourism helps Niagara Falls and the province of Ontario. If I had a mic right now, I'd just drop it and walk away. But I have to introduce my friend and colleague, Vince Cario, who's a longtime city councillor from Niagara Falls and a hotelier and has a lot more knowledge of the tourism business than me. So thank you very much, Minister MacLeod.
Thank you, Bob. Unfortunately, I have to have some notes, and it's not about what I'm going to say. It's to make sure I don't say the wrong thing. The minister is absolutely correct. It's been a real tough 2 years. We've been struggling. All of my peers, whether you're in the hotel business or the restaurant business, the attraction business, it's been a tough go. So the province with this initiative is sending a clear message to the people of Ontario that it's now okay to travel. And in fact, they're encouraging it with this announcement of this program, and we appreciate it and we thank you, Minister. Everything that you do for us is appreciated and is a big help. Another benefit, obviously, of the staycation is by staying in Ontario, we're supporting the people in Ontario who depend on tourism industry to live and support their families. So I think it's a great thing to get out there and support your neighbors and your friends and your family who are working in the province. Nothing better than supporting our own. By the minister being here today, she is reinforcing her government's commitment to our industry. During this pandemic, our tourism minister, Lisa MacLeod, and our premier, Doug Ford, have never wavered in their commitment to the people of Ontario to do whatever it takes to keep them safe. They've also been very clear that they will be here to help us get our business back on the right track when it's safe to do so. Minister, by being here again today, as you have been week after week since you took on this ministry, you, your staff, and your government have certainly proved to us that you're committed to helping us revitalize tourism in the Niagara region as well as in the entire province. And we're grateful and extremely proud to have you and the Ford government as our partners.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Chris?
Hi everybody. The one problem about following all of my colleagues before us is that they've pretty much said everything of importance. But listen, for 2 years the tourism industry has been through hell. Our friends and our family who run businesses, who are employed in this industry, have had to suffer from restrictions on our movement, restrictions on our ability to open, restrictions on capacity, and of course that's had a catastrophic impact on revenues, on job losses, etc. What the minister has announced today and what the government has done by putting forward the staycation credit is saying not only is it safe to travel, but we're going to back up our words that it's safe to travel. We're going to give you a tax credit to encourage you to go out and support your friends and family who work within this industry. And that's the challenge today. And that's the challenge I want the media to make sure that they're covering in this story today, in this announcement, is that Ontarians have the opportunity to stay that extra night, to visit that extra attraction and get our economy moving again in Ontario. We're open, it's safe to travel, and this government and this minister who, quite frankly, if I text the minister at 6:30, she'll text me back at 12:30 at night, because all she's doing is working for the tourism industry. And as a lobby association, as someone who is here to put forward the voice of the tourism industry, I don't think the tourism industry could have had a bigger friend and bigger advocate at the top table than Minister MacLeod. And on that note, I'll pass back to my colleague who will do questions and answers.
Thank you so much, everyone. We'll now be taking questions from the media. There's a mic to the left of the cameras. One question, one follow-up. Does anyone have any questions? Yep.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Nicholas Tabolo with the Niagara Independent.
It's good to see you again, Nicholas.
Pleasure. I know you said one question, one follow-up, but...
You have 9?
Yeah.
Well, for you, Nicholas, maybe.
Just one quick one for clarity. I know this is a point of contention, can be a point of contention here, but does the tax credit include Airbnb in the accommodations?
No, so the eligible accommodations, and I'll read it out again. So it'll be hotels, motels, cottages, lodges, campgrounds, bed and breakfasts, and other short-term accommodations. The reason we went with these groups is because they were particularly hardest hit during the pandemic. What we also feel is once people start to stay, for example, in Vince or Joe's hotel, they're going to be spending money on attractions, they're going to be spending money on gas, they're going to be spending a lot of money on gas, unfortunately. They're going to be spending money at the restaurants and really circulating that wealth. And a place like Niagara Falls, they'll be staying at maybe a bed and breakfast in Niagara on the lake and go to a winery and then come down to visit here. So we really wanted to incentivize people, and then these incentives perhaps will be stacked by other direct marketing organizations in communities or through the regional tourism organizations. So we're looking at what those stackable incentives might be, and you're always welcome to go to Destination Ontario's website to see what other stackable incentives are out there over and above the tax credit.
And then just really quickly, it says it's for leisure stay. Say I were to bring in my in-laws from Windsor. Having your family is not always a leisure stay.
I'm not going to answer that question.
Could they then, in this hypothetical scenario, apply for the credit?
Yeah, I think so. If your family is coming in from anywhere in Ontario, so this is for Ontario residents only, and we're encouraging Ontarians to rediscover and reconnect with family and friends because it's been impossible impossible almost to do so over the past 2 years. And we're certainly encouraging people from Toronto to come to Niagara, folks from Niagara to go to London, folks from London to go to Ottawa, making sure that people are going to Northern Ontario as well, and allowing for that. I think the real issue here is making sure that the Government of Ontario demonstrates our commitment to the recovery of this sector by this incentive. It says that we have confidence that it's safe to travel again, and we're trying to really encourage Ontarians to have that confidence again. And I got to tell you, the last 2 years, and they'll mention that I've been here many times, and I've tried to get out to all of our major tourism destinations throughout the last 2 years. And one of the things that I have seen as somebody who grew up in Nova Scotia is I've seen more of this province and some really incredible things. And as a resident and member of provincial parliament from the city of Ottawa, I explored things I never would have thought in my own backyard. So this really is an incentive to get people moving and staying and spending again and giving back the confidence to these sectors that have been so hard hit. Thank you.
Next question.
Minister John from the Review.
Hey, John.
I just wanted to clarify this. You might have clarified this the first time. Like, does this apply to things like theater or souvenirs or that kind of stuff that's associated with traveling?
No, so this is only for accommodations. So if you're staying at a hotel, at a cottage, a campground, a lodge, a bed and breakfast, you will be eligible on your 2022 taxes for this incentive, again, to $200 or $400 for a family. And the idea is to incentivize people to stay in the hotels. It means they're going to be traveling and they're likely going to be spending. And again, over and above that, I would encourage all visitors in Ontario that want to go see one of their local communities or a favorite place that they found over the last 3 years, then really check the website of that local tourism destination, because again, there will be stackable incentives. We're seeing it across the province. Some areas have gift cards, Visa cards. Others have buy one, get one off for attractions. And so the industry really is working hard to come together for all kinds of different types of incentives that when you're here, it may help with the attractions. And really what we're trying to do is encourage these hotels to get back up and full again, because again, they've been, some of them at 3% capacity. I can tell you, when I've been here for over the past 2 years, and I will say Sam saying over at the Hilton at Joe's hotel, there were times where I felt like I was it was like a private hotel. And then what was really nice is coming back here a couple of weeks ago and seeing it filled up. And it really is, I think it gives a lot of great confidence to these business owners like Vince and like Joe and so many others who have really had a difficult time.
That concludes our Q&A.
Nope.
Oh, sorry.
Don't worry, we have a long trip back to Toronto. I'll make sure of it.
Quick question, Mike from CHDH News. Have you guys already seen an indication that Staycation has already made a difference?
Yes. So you'll recall there have been periods throughout the pandemic where we have eased restrictions, both last summer and the previous summer. We did see a lot of people starting to travel across the province. This year, with this staycation, I think it achieves two things. One is it allows us to tell the Ontario public that your government has confidence in you to travel again, and the Chief Medical Officer of Health has confidence in you to travel again. And second, it really is going to allow people who have maybe started staying in certain destinations across the province because they were unable to travel internationally to go back for that third year, make memories for that third year. And I'll use an example of Prince Edward County. There were a lot of folks in Eastern Ontario and in Toronto that discovered different areas. They booked the second year in the summer, and now this will be the third. And we're really encouraging, particularly as we get into March break, to say, you know what, you haven't been able to travel the last 2.5 years, or you've been only able to do it at different increments. Now this is your opportunity to get out there, and we're incentivizing you. You can get this off of your taxes, and then check the local tourism entities as well, because again, there are stackable incentives. And I really do think that this is a big confidence booster, and I really do see, look at all the people here today. A year ago we wouldn't have seen this, and so I think it's really important to start to really provide our level of confidence as government and trust into these sectors at the appropriate time, and that appropriate time is finally here now. All set?
questions?
Thank you all. Yeah, any more questions?
That's it.
Do you have any questions?
No, I think I'm good.
That was a trick question. All right, thanks everybody.